Hi guys, Mrs. Snowden here, and we're going to go through the notes 1-1 of our algebra review unit. So at the top of the page there you see it says order of operations, and then you'll see GEM-DOS, and normally you hear PEMDOS, but I like to use GEM-DOS because of grouping symbols. So it doesn't have to be parentheses, it could be a fraction bar, it could be a square root. Anything like that. And then the E stands for exponents. And M stands for multiplication. And then D stands for division. A for addition. And S for subtraction. Now, it's a little misleading because remember that multiplication and division are from left to right. And so are addition and subtraction. So sometimes you might see a division symbol first, sometimes you might see a subtraction symbol first. All right, I'm also going to tell you the biggest hint. Your calculator knows order of operations. So as long as you use enough parentheses so your calculator knows what it's doing, then you can just type these guys into your calculator. I'm going to go through them step by step here on the notes just so that you can see that, and then I'm going to show you how to type it in your calculator correctly, and we're going to get the same thing. Okay, so number 1, part A. If you look at your order of operations, our grouping symbols, these guys are brackets. We don't have parentheses, so that's why I did the G. So I'm going to do inside my brackets first. So I have 10 minus 5 plus, and then inside of them I have to do the multiplication first. 9 times 4 is 36. So I have 10 minus 5 plus 36 is 41. So I have a negative 31. Let's go ahead and type that into our calculator, and you'll see that your calculator can give you the same thing. So 10 minus, you can use multiple sets of parentheses as long as you can keep it straight on which one you're using. So 10 minus 5 plus 9 times 4, negative 31. Okay? All right, letter B. I don't have any, I have grouping symbols, so I have to do those first. 2 plus 4 minus 2 is 2. Raise it to the third power, minus 6. 2 to the third power, if you don't know how to do that on your calculator, that would be 2. And then you can use the caret. And the caret is right above the division symbol. So 2 to the third is 8. 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 plus 8 minus 6. 2 plus 8 is 10, minus 6 gives me 4. All right, let's check it with our calculator. 2 plus parentheses 4 minus 2, raise it to the third power. You have to push the arrow button to get out of there, otherwise you're going to still be typing it inside of your exponent. We indeed did get 4. All right, letter C, we got a lot going on. We have to do inside our brackets first, and then inside a bracket we have some parentheses, so we need to do those guys first. So 384 minus 3 times 5 to the third power, all divided by 3. Now be careful. Do we multiply by 3, or do we do the exponent first? We do the exponent first. So 384 minus 3 times 5 to the third power is 125. Divided by 3. 3 times 125 is 375, so I have 384 minus 375. All divided by 3. 384 minus 375 is 9. Divided by 3 is 3. Okay, let's check it with our calculator. 384 minus 3 parentheses 7 minus 2 to the third power. Arrow over to get out of your exponent. Close your first set of parentheses, then divide it by 3, and we got 3. Woohoo! Letter D. This is the one where we have a different grouping symbol. We've seen those brackets and we've seen parentheses. This guy right here is indeed a grouping symbol. I have to do everything on the top and everything on the denominator, and then I can simplify. All right, so 16 plus 2 to the third power is 8 divided by 4. I'm going to go ahead and do them both at the same time. 1 minus 4. In the numerator, 8 divided by 4 first is 2, so I get 16 plus 2 divided by a negative 3. 16 plus 2 is 18. Divided by a negative 3 gives me negative 6. Okay, in your calculator, most of you have newer calculators and you do have a fraction bar. So if you do the green alpha button and then y equals, you should get a fraction menu to pop up. So I'm going to go ahead and type that into my fraction. So 16 plus 2 to the third, arrow over, divided by 4, all over 1 minus 2 squared. It is indeed negative 6. So as you're doing your homework, if you just want to type them in your calculators and trust that you're typing them in correctly, that's perfectly fine with me. Alrighty, filling in some variables. We have the first blank there is variables. I think I just said it. I meant filling in some blanks. Variables are symbols, usually letters used to represent unknown quantities. Algebraic expressions are expressions that contain at least one variable. So in number 2, it says evaluate s minus t times s squared minus t, all in parentheses, if s is 5 and t is 2. Okay, so first things first, let's plug in what we know. S is 5, t is 2, s squared, 5 squared minus 2. All right, now be very careful. A lot of you are going to want to say, hey, I know 5 minus 2, that's 3. But be careful because that negative 2 is multiplied by everything inside of that parentheses. You have to do that first. No subtracting right there. So 5 minus 2 times 25 minus 2 more. 25 minus 2 is 23. So we get 5 minus 46, which is a negative 41. Again, you can type that guy into your calculator if you would like. Minus 2, parentheses, 5 squared, minus 2, close your parentheses, negative 41. All right, number 3, again, evaluate, so plug in what we know. Now be careful because some of them are negative. So make sure you use lots of parentheses. X is 5, y is negative 2, minus negative 1 to the third power, all over negative 2 squared. Whoop, that's squared, plus 5. Negative 8 times 5 is negative 40 times negative 2 would be a positive 80. Minus negative 1 to the third power. I still have that minus there, but negative 1 to the third power is negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. So that's still negative 1. Negative 2 squared is 4 plus 5. All right, now be very careful. Your calculator is not a mind reader. So there is a difference between typing in negative 2 squared and negative 2 inside parentheses squared. This first one here, it's doing the order of operations. It's taking 2, raising it to the second power, and multiplying it by negative 1. The second one is -2 times -2. This is the one we want, the second one. If you notice, your calculator is not broken, it's just not a mind reader. So if you're going to be taking things, negative numbers, and raising them to powers, make sure you put them in parentheses. All right, 80 minus a -1 gives me 80 plus 1, so 81 over 9 is 9. All right, last thing here on this first section, a blank, a formula. Is a mathematical sentence that expresses the relationship between two certain quantities. So, in number 4, it says find the area of the trapezoid with lengths, I guess we should say base lengths of 13 and 25 meters and a height of 8 meters. I gave you the formula, but we don't need the formula because we just did it recently. So, my formula is 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases. So, 1/2, my height is 8. One of my bases is 13. The other is 25. 1/2 of 8 times 38. Half of 8 is 4 times 38. 4 times 38 is 152. We know how to label this guy, meters squared. Alrighty, again, remember, if you just want to type them into your calculator, make sure you're using correct parentheses. You are using enough parentheses. They don't cost anything. You can always put more in than you think you need. You will have to close them when you're working with your calculator, so be careful. And you don't need to show me a lot of work because I trust that you can actually type those into your calculator.